Oh, so it ends this. Okay. What's up, everybody? We're trying out StreamYard today. So if you're watching the stream, so we're trying out something a little bit different. I actually have the stream playing on a different. There we go. All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. Live streaming. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. My name is Adam. I'm your host. On today's episode, we have a couple different topics. So we got three kind of main things we're going to talk about. I'm trying to figure out the best cadence for the show because, you know, the first topic, as you can see on the screen, is going to be the tops design. That was released last weekend. And none of the YouTube videos that I came out with this week had to do with it. I think this one will probably be releasing, I'm not 100% sure when I'm going to release the first part of the show, which ends up being the little robot-y. Okay, I might even just check this here. Let's see, because we might even just. Okay, so this. Sorry for everybody watching live. I don't know why. Also, it's interesting that it's mirroring my camera. We'll go back here and edit this because. Oh yeah, it is. That does sound weird. Okay. Let's see. Audio, mic, the virtual, yeah. The Mac, we're trying with the MacBook. See how that sounds. It's not going to sound good. I don't know. Hold on, let me. Okay, I think it should be good now. Oh no. Hold on. No. Let's see. Oh, that's weird. That still sounds like that. So everyone watching the stream will get to see the technical issues here. All right, so now we're switching to the external microphone, which is going to be just the iPhone headphones. Still sounds okay. So it's fixed, I guess. I don't know. It's unfortunate. Okay. I guess we'll get into the show here. Also, yeah, it is weird that it like flipped too. No, I guess that's the. Yeah, I think we're still testing a little bit here to see. I don't know. Okay. Obviously, as you can see, when you're live streaming, you might run into some issues occasionally. I think it sounds good now, though. Just Okay. Yeah. So I guess it's as good as it's going to get. I was hoping to use an external mic from my iPhone, but because like I said, we're using StreamYard this time, so it's a little bit different than OBS. Okay. I guess we'll just start from the top. I think I'm going to have to just... yeah, I guess we'll just start from the top here. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. My name is Adam. I'm your host. So on today's episode, we've got a couple different things we're going to be talking about. The first topic, as you can see on the screen, is going to be the Topps design. Topps usually comes out with their flagship design for their product in like July. This one's being a little bit later, and I think we'll get into that in a second. The second topic is going to be some of the U.S. men's national team players that are playing in the Champions League. I think the number of players is pretty impressive compared to other years, so it's definitely going to be interesting to see sort of how these players play in this environment. And the last topic is going to be Sorare. They announced that they're going to be doing a partnership with the NBA, similar to what they had with soccer. I'm not 100% sure on the number of leagues. I know it's a lot of the European leagues have that partnership with Sorare. And I'll kind of explain what it is in a little bit as well. And I think I forget, there's another company that did a similar partnership recently with MLB. So we'll talk about that once we get into it. So we'll go into the first topic here. And, with StreamYard, it's kind of cool. You can do overlays, but you can't do it kind of the same way that you do it on OBS, which I'm fine with. I think it looks good. So for the first topic on today's show, we're going to be talking about the new Topps design. And usually, like I said a little bit earlier, Topps comes out with their flagship product design in January. It was actually something that we talked about on Hobby Hotline, which is which is a show that I'm on with a bunch of great group of other content creators. It's on Tuesday and Saturdays. So Tuesday nights and then Saturdays, I believe it's at 11 a.m. Eastern time. So if you haven't checked out that show or checked out the YouTube channel, make sure you go check out there. But so we were talking about the design, and one of the big changes I think that we've seen over the past couple of years with this design is they brought back the border. And I think, I've been kind of following these releases and the design releases since I got back into cards. I mean, 2018 is when I got back in. So 2019 was probably the first year that I was really following what this design was going to look like. So if you remember that 2019 design, it had the Pete Alonso, it had the Vlad Guerrero, it had the Fernando Tatis, and it didn't have a border. And one of the things that I think a lot of people, I think one of the interesting things to do when if you're creating content or anything along those lines, is to look at what people are talking about in the comments if you're looking for content to make. And one of the things that I definitely noticed a lot of people were talking about was the border, which was funny because then they brought the border back. And then people talked about how they didn't want a border. I mean, I don't think anyone is going to be happy, I guess, people are happy, but I think sometimes what you find is that you'll always be able to, with internet content and within sports cards for sure, you're able to find someone who's arguing the other point. You're never going to run into a situation where 100% of everyone agrees. I've been seeing a lot of positive feedback on this design. 1 Million Cubs is a Twitter account that I think he's also part of Hobby Hotline. And he put out a really good tweet that was every 20 years, they kind of do this design with the multiple images on the card. I really am a big fan of this design overall. I mean, I think it encapsulates sort of the classic design, but also adds in sort of the newer elements that they've been adding over the past few years. If you go back through 2020, 2021, then 2022, they've been sort of, in my opinion, what happens with Topps designs is they go through phases where they go through different styles. And I haven't really noticed that over the past few years, they've kind of stayed sort of similar with this design. I think this is another example of the style that they've been going with. You can kind of go back, like I said, throughout the years and see that there was a certain style, and that even could be
the designer himself or herself that was designing the cards, they were with the company for however long, and then after a certain amount of years they left and they brought in a new designer. Or it could just be that Topps is choosing to change the style of the design. Like they could another possibility. I'm kind of just thinking, I'm coming from a design background. Like I went to school for graphic design, and one of the reasons I kind of got back into sports cards was honestly because I was a big fan of the design. So one of the things for me, I guess, is I've been kind of interested in design itself. Like if you go to my Instagram, you'll find that the beginning of my Instagram page, Heroes for Sale, was actually just me reviewing different designs of baseball cards. So like the design is something that I've definitely been kind of really focused on and interested in over the past since I've been in sports cards. I mean, it's graphic design is one of the things that I do a lot in my spare time, and it's something that I have a lot of fun doing. So like following sports and kind of combining it with design and all that kind of stuff. Sports cards is the perfect way to kind of combine all that type of stuff. The marketing as well. But so with Topps, it could even just be that they're laying out, like they're saying, here's the next four designs for the next couple of years. I guess that could be one possibility of what Topps is doing. But we'll see. I mean, I think they're releasing it a little bit late, and I think they're releasing it late, to be honest, because this is potentially Fanatics' first Topps cards. Like, because Fanatics bought Topps, I think, at the end of 2021, and from my knowledge of the card creation and product creation, it takes like 8 to 12 months to really kind of release a product, like going through production, going through packing all the cards, packing all the boxes, shipping them out, all that kind of stuff. So I think at that point, Fanatics probably said, we want hands in sort of the next design or the next product and how we're going to do it. And this could be the first one. Like, I don't know if next year Topps cards are going to start having Fanatics logos. I think that's a possibility, because Fanatics is obviously, they bought Topps, but I think one of the things that Josh Luber said was that Topps wasn't going to become Fanatics. I think that's what he was saying. No, sorry, to go back a little bit before they bought Topps, when Josh Luber was doing interviews and all that kind of stuff, he said that Fanatics was going to be a different company that was making cards, which at that point they probably knew, or they had some sort of idea that Topps was going to be in the possibility that they were going to be able to buy. So I think that was one thing that he probably looked at and said, well, it's not going to be once Fanatics starts making sports cards, it's not going to be, the card company is not going to be Fanatics. It'll be whatever their card company was, which now obviously we know is Topps. I don't know if, I think I've talked about in other videos with Panini, like they don't know if I don't know if Panini is going to be bought by Fanatics or how that's going to go. But I think this is the first design or release that Fanatics is going to have for Topps. And I think one of the things with this flagship product, I think that they should do is I think they need to get rid of Topps Update. I think that they should just do Series 1 and Series 2, and then, but spread them out more. Like, Series 1 should come out at the beginning of the year. It should have, I think, there's a couple different thoughts I have here. Like, because the way that Topps is sort of manipulated when rookies get their cards, like Adley Rutschman is a potential AL Rookie of the Year candidate, but he's not going to have his rookie card until Series 1 of next year. Wander Franco is very similar. And Randy Arozarena was a rookie. He got his rookie card in 2019, and then he won the 2021 Rookie of the Year. So sometimes it doesn't. I get it why Topps maybe does it, but it almost seems like they've sort of changed the process, and that Topps Update isn't as important. Like, I know that what their plan is and what they've done sort of since Ronald Acuna in a way, like they came out with the short print in Series 2, which is what they did with Vlad Jr. as well. And then Vlad Jr. and Acuna got their first cards in Topps Update. So I see kind of the business model and why they want to do it that way. I just think when it comes to the flagship product, it maybe gets a little bit complicated. And that's one thing with baseball cards. They can be a little bit complicated at times, like what is the rookie and what's not. Because like, the bat down, which I believe is the short print from Series 2 for Ronald Acuna, is way more expensive, but also we don't know how many of them there are. Like, I don't know. I wish it was a little bit easier to understand in a way. And then my other thought is that I wish that maybe Series 1 came out a little bit later on, like towards maybe the beginning of the season. Like, I almost think it should be like a beginning of the season release and an end of the season release for Series 1 at the beginning of the season. And then Series 2, they should release that with the rookies that, I don't know what I guess I'd have to do a little bit more brainstorming on which rookies I think I would want to include in that Series 2. But it seems like, with this year they did with Torkelson, Bobby Witt Jr., and Julio Rodriguez. They're going to have their rookies in Topps Update. They had Series 2 short prints. I don't necessarily love how they're doing it that way. I just think it should be more straightforward and easy for people to understand. Like, I think rookies should just get one rookie card for every year. And I understand that Topps Update is kind of a combination of Series 1 and Series 2 and some of the players that got traded, all that kind of stuff. But in my opinion, I think, like for Adley Rutschman, for an example, like I think he easily could be in Topps Update. But the date that they chose, or the date they should release, I guess, is my other kind of point. When it comes to baseball rookies, I wish they would release an actual date of when the cutoff is to say you're going to get a rookie card this year or you're getting it next year. In my opinion, it seems a little bit too early, the date of the cutoff. The past few seasons, it's been like May or June, which I think if you go back a little bit farther, it's been in July. I think, yes, you do need a cutoff date, but I just wish that they would say when the cutoff date was and not make it seem like they're doing it just so they can get rookies into next year's product for Series 1. Because Series 1 for most years is going to be the best one out of the two. I think Series 2 from 2019 with Pete Alonso, Eloy Jimenez, Fernando Tatis, and then the short print for Vlad. Obviously, Series 2 is going to be better that season, but it just seems like the Series 2 isn't as good most of the years compared to Series 1 because of the way that they choose when the date is and when players are going to be put into that next product. And that's what I got for the first topic there. Let's see. We got the next topic I think is super interesting as well is the U.S. men's national team players that are playing in the Champions League. So let's just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 11 players are playing in this season's Champions League, which I think last year may have been more. I know that in the past few years, they've been breaking records on this type of stuff. And 2 years ago when Chelsea won, I think that was one of the first American players to win the Champions League with Pulisic, who is on Chelsea. The men's national team, I think, is going to continue to get more and more popular within the United States and outside the United States. I mean, if you look at the other teams that have some of the top players, like Leeds United is a Premier League team. They have Tyler Adams and they have Brendan Aronson. That's like a monster. That's, they have been playing really well. Monster, I guess, it's maybe the American coming out in me and saying that, the American players are the best. I don't know, because I think they get a little bit more criticism because they're American than maybe they deserve. I don't know. But Chelsea also, on another note, they just fired their manager, who did not really like Pulisic. So I think that's good for him. There's also been rumors that he was going to be loaned, which I guess they didn't necessarily want to do that. I mean, he's one of the better players on Chelsea. So it's like, why would you want to do that? I don't know, but I think one of the rumored teams was Juventus with Weston McKennie, who is obviously a player, not obviously, but he's a player that I really like. He was a player that I really got into early. Like, I think I bought a bunch of his Topps rookies when they were like 20, 30 cents a card. Like, I remember I bought this crazy lot, like right when I was getting back into soccer cards and kind of looking into which players I wanted to buy. And I think I bought a 40 or 45 card lot for like $30. And looking back at it now, I mean, I also bought another lot that was, I think it was 11 refractors. So I have like I don't even know at this point. I have like maybe 60 because I know I bought another lot of the Weston McKennie, the Topps Chrome Champions League cards. I think I might have 60 of those individual cards, and I think I have like 10 or 11 of the refractors. So I mean, that would have been cool for, you know, the United States connection for if Pulisic had gone to Juventus to play with Weston. I think that would have been really awesome. Another player who is sort of, he kind of fell off a little bit, to be honest, but now he's sort of making a little bit of a resurgence, is Josh Sargent. He also plays in the Premier League. I think he plays for Norwich, and he's another player that's been having a great start to the season. I think if you're looking into soccer cards and you are, I don't know, if you're an American, I think it's good to probably look at some of these American prospects, because I think what you're going to see is that once the World Cup comes to the US, that's when I think we're really going to see a pretty big jump in these players' popularities. Like, I think these players are going to become mainstream. I forget who wrote the article, but there was one company that wrote an article about Pulisic and called him the LeBron James of soccer, which that was, I mean, I think the world was laughing, I think at that point, because they were like, what are you even talking about? Like the LeBron James of soccer. Like that's not even realistic. Like LeBron is the best basketball player in the whole entire world. I don't know. I'm not here to argue the point they were trying to make, but either way, they wrote this article about Pulisic and saying that. But I think overall, you look at the players that, like I said, that are playing, and then also Serginho Dest. He actually just transferred from Barcelona to AC Milan, which, you know, it's unfortunate he wasn't maybe getting the playing time that he wanted to at Barcelona. I think AC Milan, I don't remember if Ibrahimovic is still there. I don't think so, but that means he's probably going to be playing against like McKennie. McKennie came over to Juventus from, I believe it was I forget, Salka, I think was the name of the Bundesliga team that he came over and started playing for. I think McKennie has kind of been a name. Soccer rumors are almost more wild than basketball rumors during sort of the off season and when there aren't games going on. Also, it's just an interesting system, and I sort of wish that the United States would figure out a way to implement the Premier League and sort of the European soccer system where there's demotions, which, you know, granted, teams probably don't want to do that, because if they get demoted or whatever, you know, they're probably going to lose a significant portion of money. But it's like, I think that's almost how you create fan bases that are more rabid than sort of what, like let's just say the Orlando Magic, for example. If the Orlando Magic, you know, got demoted and they had stayed demoted, which I don't know if that's a good example, because maybe their fans aren't super rabid, I guess. But either way, I think the point that I'm trying to make is that if you see a team that's playing in this lower division and then they make their way up, I think that would make the league a little bit more competitive. I guess I don't really know how you would do it with how they do it with like drafts and like with the draft. I don't know how they would do it that way. But I think honestly with soccer, they may, because there's like a couple big leagues within the United States. There's like the MLS, and then there's the US Soccer Championship League. I forget the exact name of it, but it's kind of like the minor leagues of the MLS. But like, if you look at some of the teams, like if you look at their stadiums, they're like filled. So like, I don't know, maybe it's a soccer thing. Maybe that's why people are so rabid about those sports. But I think overall, like, you know, I've talked about soccer ad nauseum. Any chance I can get to talk about soccer, it's always something I like talking about, because it's just so intricate and interesting, and there's so many nuances that I think I wish that American sports would try and implement more of these things that soccer does. But you know, that's kind of, it's wishful thinking, honestly, because like, you know, there's so much money within these teams. It's like, who's to say what owner would really get into a league if they know they could get demoted? I don't know for sure, but it's like, I don't know. I wish that they would implement some of this stuff. I think it would be pretty cool, to be honest. The last topic that we have on today's show is going to be the NBA Sorare partnership. So Sorare is a fantasy sports NFT company. They were big with like soccer. So like a couple years ago, probably like I think they had McKinney on Salka in like the first release of the cards, which I think the first release of the soccer cards was back in it must have been 2019 or 2020. Because that's kind of when NFTs sort of started picking up a little bit. And within sports NFTs, I think one thing that is going to help the industry of sports NFTs is going to be trying to figure out a way to combine the NFT with some sort of utility. So in this case, it's a fantasy game along with a collectability type of thing. So like there are different rarities, and you have I forget the exact numbers, but I know that each of the they have like I think it's like bronze, silver, red, and blue. I think are the four rarities, and they each get more rare kind of as you're going. So I think this is with the NBA kind of coming into this, I think it's big because you saw like with Top Shot. I don't necessarily think that Top Shot was done correctly. Like I think they were riding on the hype of sports cards and how popular like that rookie class was with LaMelo, and then even the year before with Zion. I think they were riding on that kind of wave. I also think the one thing that I don't know why more people didn't talk about this when Top Shot first came out, you couldn't take your money out of the platform. So it's like, yeah, all of these random moments are going to be trading for ridiculous amounts when you can't get your money out of it. But that once people were able to get their money out, I think that's kind of when you saw like a huge step back for Top Shot. But to be honest, I even think Top Shot is still it's still pretty popular. Like if you look at I forget, I think Coin Tracker, I think is what it's called. It's a website where you can track NFT projects. It's usually in the top projects. And I think it's going to be a revolutionary type of thing because they also launched the All Day, which is the NFL. And what I've seen from them so far is that they're releasing the NFTs the way that I thought the NBA should have done it. Was they're releasing like historic ones. So like the Odell Beckham catch, for example, was one of the NFTs that you could have purchased for the NFL All Day. But like I said, now getting back into Sorare also has an MLB partnership, so you can do this sort of fantasy NFT type of thing with baseball, which I looked into it a little bit. I haven't really played around in the platform that much, but I know that they're a company that's raised a bunch of funding. I think Gary Vee, I'm pretty sure he's one of the investors. But overall, I think the platform has shown they're I think this is my take on NFTs in general. It's going to be like the internet boom of the early 90s when like you're going to have the Amazon, Google's, Twitter's, like all of these companies, they're going to come out of this. But then you're also going to have like the pets.coms and like, I don't know, any random company that was on paper worth probably billions, but then they weren't doing anything. So then they kind of crashed. I think Sorare is a company that could, from a sports NFT perspective, I think that they're probably going to be a company that ends up coming out of this. I don't know what you could even call it, like out of this era, and will be successful down the road. I think it was smart of them to launch soccer first because I think the amount of people who are into soccer is much higher than the amount of people who are into American sports, for example. Like soccer is the biggest sport in the world, and I just talked about that. But I think it was smart of them to launch soccer first, and now then they launched MLB this season. In the middle of the season, if I were them, I probably would have waited until either the off season or the beginning of next season to launch, because they sort of launched in the middle of the season. Like with the NBA, they just announced this partnership, so I would imagine they're going to have something up before the start of the season for the NBA. And I don't know if they're going to do it like, I guess, because it's their cards. They're not the highlights like Top Shot and All Day. So they're not going to be, maybe they'll have historic ones, but I guess maybe not. We'll see. I mean, we'll see kind of how it goes, because these NFTs, you can buy and sell them the same way that you buy and sell Top Shots and stuff like that. So I think, I like Sorare and what they've done. I like the look of the cards. I'm excited to see sort of what the partnership sort of entails, like how they're going to launch these cards, if they're going to launch them, if they're going to, I don't know, maybe Sorare. I don't know if there's a licensing thing here. I would guess there might be, just for the fact that like there are tons of different digital licenses. I would imagine the video license for the NBA probably won't be something that they'll be launching with. But if they do, I think that it'll be actually probably not, because it's more of a fantasy game. But either way, I like I said, I still think adding the NBA to Sorare's arsenal is going to be important. And I don't know, I for Fanatics in general, like I know that they keep buying companies and they keep buying licenses. But if they keep doing well, it could be something where, because Topps did NFTs as well. So it could be something where Fanatics buys Sorare, and then they're the ones that are running the NFT business for Topps/Fanatics, because Topps did release NFTs, but they've released them on like 4 different platforms. And it really kind of, I think that they try to jump into it. And it's the same thing sort of with other NFT companies. Like they didn't really know what they were doing. They knew how to maybe mint the NFTs and get them out, but they didn't know the technology and sort of how to do it correctly, I guess, if that makes sense. Because if you want a baseball NFT, it's like they're on a bunch of different platforms. So like if Sorare comes in, and I think that's ultimately what maybe they're trying to do. Like, yes, they're building a product that you can buy and sell. But if they want to sell to a company like Topps, I think that they're building a platform that's definitely a possibility, if that's what they want to do. I mean, it could even be that they just want to run this platform. They want to, keep adding licenses. Like, I don't know, maybe down the road we see an NFL one, or NHL. I don't know for sure, but they got basically the 3, I would consider them the 3 biggest licenses in the hobby sports card space. Like if they can get the NFL, that would be great. But I think that across the board, you see much more diversity when it comes to kind of who people are buying within baseball and basketball. Football, there isn't really as much. So I think it might be tough. But it could be a thing where it's like, even maybe it's like ESPN buys them and then they integrate ESPN into fantasy. And I think that's one of the things, in my opinion, that really, I think that's one thing that can set apart a company that's sort of growing, is figuring out how to combine a bunch of different industries. That's one thing that I was thinking about with like the NFL, like with positional players of the NFL. If a sports card company can figure out how to implement fantasy into their repertoire, I think it would be interesting for them to. I think it would, if they can figure out how to introduce fantasy. I mean, I think that might help the value of some of the position players, but I don't know, maybe not. I mean, I don't know. Like I've talked about this in the past. Like I don't know what has to happen for position players to become more popular. I thought maybe Star Stock would be one way that would help. I guess maybe not. I think maybe Check Out My Cards might be one way. But the digital trading, I think, is just it's something that a lot of collectors don't really like, but it's something that I think a lot of people who maybe aren't into sports cards do like, if that makes sense. Like MLB The Show, for example, and I'll kind of give you a little bit about my background. So MLB The Show is how I got into sports cards, because I was trading the cards and the coins and building up my coins for my team. But it was all seamless. It was all digital. There was no, you understood the fees. You understood there was no shipping or anything. You could buy something and then immediately list it. And I think that's what we're going to see with NFTs and sports. They need to figure out a way to build that platform, which, that's another, maybe it's a show, maybe MLB The Show, it starts to create NFTs into their game. I don't know for sure exactly how they would do it or what they would want to do, but it's like a generation of people who like sports that are basically trading NFTs already. Like they've been trading NFTs before NFTs were a thing. Like they were on Madden, they were on FIFA, they were on MLB The Show, trading these cards for coins or buying packs. So, you know, and it's wild that people still sort of look at NFTs as not important because, like I just said, people have been trading. People have been doing. How am I trying to word it? People have been trading NFTs before they were NFTs, if that makes sense. Like any skin you buy in a game, that's just an NFT that you can't trade. But if you were able to trade that, that would be something that would be interesting. Or you know, if you're Fortnite or Call of Duty or Apex Legends, whatever. But like Madden, FIFA, you're trading cards for coins. And it's like I said, in my head, when I was doing that, I was like, there's got to be a way to do this in real life, which, you know, Check Out My Cards is an example of an example of a product and a company that I think should be much larger, just based on the fact that they have everything. They have such a large platform and everything is digital. And, you know, all the fees are kind of all worked into there and they're pretty clear about all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I just think Check Out My Cards is a platform that should be maybe a little bit bigger. Overall, just based on the fact that they are, I mean, if you really want to get crazy, Check Out My Cards. If they didn't allow you, which obviously they want you to take your cards sometimes, but like it's just Check Out My Cards is NFTs. Like that's one way to think about it. They're just NFTs that you can, you know, get shipped to you, a physical product that you can trade digitally. That's kind of, I think I don't know if anyone's coined that phrase, but that's something that I've been thinking about, like figuring out a way to trade physical assets digitally. Whoever can do that, which Check Out My Cards has kind of done, whoever can figure out how to do that the best is going to have huge upside when it comes to what their company could do in the future. Yeah, I mean, I think sports NFTs for sure. Like fantasy, you could say that, you know, fantasy players are NFTs. Like you're picking them up off the waiver wire. You're you know, trading with your friends. Those are just NFTs. Like I guess it's, you know, you're kind of taking the layers back there, and it's maybe a little bit of an exaggeration to call everything an NFT, but it's like, if you really look at it, I think a lot more things are like NFTs than aren't like NFTs. I guess if that point kind of makes sense. Oh, cool. I like so yeah, Kamikaze, zero. I own zero NFTs. I own a couple, to be honest. Like, it's not something I went crazy with. Like, I don't own any of the Top Shots. I think I own a couple of projects that I bought like the past few months because the prices for ETH and the price for gas just went down significantly. But yeah. So let's see. So that's pretty much all I got. I guess I should have done a post-show screen. I needed to probably do that for next time. But yeah, that's all I've got for, you know, the live stream and the podcast. So anybody who watched through the first 5 or 6 minutes of me trying to figure everything out, thank you. I appreciate you for sticking around. If you're listening on YouTube or if you're listening on Spotify, Apple, make sure you hit like and subscribe, leave a comment, leave a review, however you guys want to do it. Thank you all, and I will see you in the next episode.